Well, thank you very much for the opportunity for Venture Global to join the ASEAN Energy Business Forum. It is a real pleasure for us at Venture Global to have the opportunity to take part with you. Thank you as well to follow His Excellency. I think we can make some introductory remarks about the way that Venture Global sees particularly LNG and gas within the ASEAN energy region, make a few remarks there. And then I'll show one or two videos that illustrate some of the important innovations in the industry, which we see as having important implications for the ASEAN energy region in terms of its consumption of energy, particularly LNG and gas, over the coming 5 and 10, 20 years. In terms of LNG and gas in the ASEAN region, we see four major factors being important over the coming years. Firstly, the environmental factors, which are driving ASEAN growth in terms of gas and LNG as a complement to renewable growth. And we see the environmental factors having underpinning gas and LNG growth in the ASEAN region. The second factor we see as being important is the demographics in the region. The access to energy having a really important implication on the use and the consumption and the growth of LNG in the region. But key to numbers 1 and 2, the environmental and demographic aspects underpinning the growth of gas and LNG in the region is clearly the affordability of LNG and gas. And the affordability of it is clearly going to have the most major implication on the trajectory of growth of LNG and gas in the region as it displaces coal for those important environmental reasons. So affordability we see as being key in terms of our view at Venture Global. And what is driving affordability, particularly in the LNG space, is innovation. And some would rightly think, well, the LNG industry hasn't changed very dramatically over the last 30 or 40 years. And we've seen huge global mega projects being built using tens of thousands of people, taking 5, 7, and sometimes more years to build these plants which feed LNG into the ASEAN region. But something dramatic has been changing particularly in the last 1 or 2 years. And I hope to be able to illustrate that a little bit today for you, because it's happening right as we speak, as you'll see in a couple of the videos. And that innovation, and I'll explain more about it, which is making liquefaction projects simpler, faster, and safer, and lower cost, is happening. It is happening right now. And I think that lower cost through innovation drives that affordability equation for the ASEAN region. So let me try to illustrate some of that, those innovations of today, which are driving that affordability and driving the cost of LNG down, which ultimately improves the affordability for end consumers and the competitivity for industries in the ASEAN region. So perhaps if we can just here is an update of the plant, the export facility. If we just roll the video a little bit, I can orientate. So if we just pause the video there for a second. So this is the plant that will use the world's first factory-built trains. And I'll explain the implication of building in factories in a moment. But just for orientation, you're looking at Venture Global's Calcasieu Parks facility, LNG liquefaction facility that took FID only in August 2019, so just over a year ago. And you're looking towards the Gulf of Mexico. Houston is off to the right-hand side of the picture down the coast, and behind us to the left, if you like, just for orientation, is New Orleans in the east of Louisiana. So if we just roll the video forward a little bit, just to give some feeling for innovation at LNG, in LNG, and what's happening. We can roll the video. I think as you see the site, you'll see a site which is being constructed faster than any other site in LNG has ever been constructed, and there's a good reason for that. And that's that the trains themselves are now, for the first time, being constructed in factories. And by constructing in factories, the that enables parallel construction. So while our factories have been, our trains have been constructed in Italy, the site itself has been able to progress in parallel at a pace which is extremely unusual for the industry. So you see a site here which has the classic segments of an LNG site, the power, the pre-treatment, the liquefaction, and then the tanks. But the advancement, the pace of advancement of the site is affected significantly by one factor. And that's that for the first time, the LNG trains themselves are being constructed in a factory. And by moving that construction into a factory, we reduce the labor on the site down from about 12 or 14,000 on a typical liquefaction site down to around 2,000 people. And that has implications across all sectors of the project. In terms of the speed of the project, this project is executed in around around a 30% reduction on time frame from FID through to the first trains leaving the site. And in fact, Calcasieu Pass will have the first cargoes leaving the site at the end of 2021, so only around a year away from now. There you see the two tanks. They were completed, the roofs of those tanks were completed around 3 months ahead of schedule. You'll see on the site there's some coal boxes from Chart, who I'm proud to say have been a fantastic engineering partner on the site, delivering coal boxes around 3 months ahead of schedule. And you will see in a moment the first tanks, the first liquefaction trains arriving too. All in all, the key takeaway of Venture Global's Calcasieu Pass execution is the shift from stick-built construction, which the industry has seen over previous years and decades, to now moving that construction, that train construction, into a standardized factory environment where you can control the cost, the schedule, and the safety in a far more acute way. So I think that's probably enough of the Calcasieu site. There you can see the coal boxes there, just standing up, ready to receive the trains next to them. And so if we shift to, if we pause this one and move to the second video, I think I'll be able to show you the first of these factory-built trains. And there you see the ship arriving, the Hanjin Pioneer arriving only a few days ago with the two first factory-built trains on board to be unloaded onto the site, and if you like, plug and play execution being carried out. And these have been constructed in Baker Hughes's fabrication yard, which the industry knows well in Italy, and then moved to the site, complete, enabling them to be plugged in next to the coal boxes. Now, all of this is going on in Louisiana. Why is it relevant for the ASEAN region, and why is it relevant for the regasification plants that will receive LNG in the ASEAN region? It's because of the cost of the LNG. By moving the fabrication of trains into a factory environment, we're able to reduce the price of LNG significantly. And that has implications for affordability in the region and competitivity. So I think you now see the real action, if you like, of the trains being unloaded onto the site. Our supply partners who supply in the ASEAN region, such as BP and Shell, are off-takers from the first phase of Venture Global. The first phase here is using 18 identical trains, each of 0.6 million tons. You're seeing the first two being unloaded onto the site here. These will be followed by the 16 trains for Calcasieu, so trains 1 through 18 being used at Calcasieu. And then in our second phase of Venture Global at Plaquemines, you'll see trains 19 through 54 being deployed at Plaquemines. And all of those trains are identical. And that identical nature of the trains and the speed of producing those trains is key to LNG price and, of course, to affordability. So I think that's probably a good snapshot of where innovation is on LNG today. This is a pioneering project from the point of view of speed of execution, of safety, and of affordability of LNG. We're proud to be able to show this for the first time to the world at the Asian Energy Business Forum, and it's clearly a great moment to be able to show that, particularly in a region where LNG growth in very many places in the ASEAN region, from the great traditional consumers of LNG, the experienced consumers of LNG such as Thailand, but also through to the new consumers who've made such stunning progress in the LNG industry only in recent months, such as Myanmar, for example. It's a great pleasure to be with you at Asian Energy Business Forum, and we're looking forward to the eventual honored to be participating on the panel, the LNG panel, where we hope to be able to answer questions too about the pioneering innovations that we've brought to the LNG industry to increase the affordability of LNG. So thank you very much.